The British alternative rock and pop band Coldplay have always been extremely popular, not just in the UK, but really global, and it's really been interesting to see how this Music of the Spheres final countdown era of the band has transformed them for the worse. Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John. It's time for a review of the 10th album by Coldplay, Moon Music, the follow-up to Music of the Spheres, which was the first of 4 that are allegedly going to close out Coldplay's recording career. Their discography thus far has definitely seen some highs and lows, but I will die on the mountain that their first 4 records are impeccable, and what came after is divisive, although there's good stuff in there. As Coldplay gave a warm embrace to electronic music, they really towed the line on Ghost Stories, an album that didn't go over so well with most, but I think is one of their best because of its subtleties. Ghost Stories is living proof that Coldplay don't have to be traditional Coldplay in order to be great. They can branch out and do interesting stuff. It's just that in the 2020s, it feels like they haven't been working with the right producers or the right songwriters because everything's falling incredibly generically flat. Moon Music, however, is an improvement on Music of the Spheres, an album that I found to be kind of infuriating at how dull and absent-minded the production and songwriting often seem to be, and those problems do roll over to Moon Music. I feel like the band was not as involved as they probably could have or should have been. Perhaps no song manifests this problem as well as We Pray, a collaboration that sounds nothing like a proper Coldplay tune. In fact, a lot of the songs on the album do feel like Chris Martin featuring the other artists that are involved, not as bandmates. That's so we pray. It unfortunately highlights one of Moon Music's biggest flaws, and that's the fact that it does have some individually coherent and strong pieces. It's just that as an album, it does not flow well to save its life. Coldplay doesn't seem to have much of a compass at this point. They're just following whatever North Star suits them in the moment, and at times it works. John Hopkins, of course, legendary in the electronic music world, collaborating on the opening track, the title track Moon Music, an incredible enchanting piece that is a little bit slow, but once it gets there, it certainly feels like a golden hour. Yes, it transitions nicely into Feels Like I'm Falling in Love, but the ending of that song feels like an afterthought as we move into We Pray, which is a tonal shift for the ages and not a good one. Then we float back off into the ether and we arrive at Jupiter. Again, a nice song on its own, talking about a young girl that's trying to find her own identity, sexuality, her place in the world. It's a nice moment, but it feels disconnected from the tracks on either side of it. We Pray, Jupiter, and then Good Feelings? These songs are so jarring, back to back to back. Good Feelings has a nice funky bass groove to it, but the number one thought that pops into my head is this doesn't feel like Coldplay. It feels like Chris Martin doing something with Calvin Harris. Coldplay, can you please stop titling your songs emojis? My car doesn't recognize that, and it makes me feel like I'm truly listening to a ghost story. The rainbow emoji represents track 6, which has so many names, it might as well be the offspring of Grimes and Elon Musk. Actually, let's call it the Rainbow Suite, because a suite is like an old piece of music where multiple parts are stitched together, they come together, all being a part of technically the same song. This is a longer piece. There's 2 technically 6+ minute tracks on the album, and while they're nice, they're pretty, this one in particular is kind of like shoegazy slow dive territory for Coldplay, which is kind of an interesting experiment, but I don't think it serves the album all that well beyond being pretty. It's the song after the Rainbow Suite that makes me wonder, where the hell was this energy for iAAM on the rest of Moon Music? 'Cause I am a mountain. I Am a the Mountain is easily the best song on Moon Music. This song has an incredible chorus. It gets stronger, richer, bigger each time it hits. The swelling vocals reminded me a lot of Milo Xyloto, so much to my surprise, it actually was recorded and cut during that era. AETERNA is a nice house-influenced follow-up that is a lot of fun at the very least. Not exactly a great song or one that I necessarily see myself coming back to, but at the very least, I see that Coldplay accomplished the mission on this one. All My Love is set to be the final Coldplay single, if Chris Martin is to be believed with all things Coldplay, which in the past he has not. But if their final two albums don't have any proper singles, then this is it, and oh, what an unfresh note to go out on. You've got all my love. No, this isn't a bad song. I don't even dislike it. It's just representative of how cheesy and ham-fisted, modern, sappy Coldplay can get. It's uplifting, it's nice, but I can't say the same thing for that final song, which runs on for 7 minutes, including about 60 seconds of silence towards the end before finally something comes back out. It doesn't really amount to anything, but hey, that's one world. Another unsatisfactory Coldplay album. It feels like I'm falling asleep. But Moon Music, a slight step up. I don't think the highs are as high because there's no coloratura on this record, but the lows are nowhere near as low as, say, Beautiful. We Pray is booty cheeks. I genuinely don't know what exactly they were trying to clap there, but it did not work. It's a 44-minute album that feels a little bit more like an hour-long experience, which is to say it overstays its welcome by a bit. I think for Moon Music, I'm going to rate this a strong 2.5 out of 5. What are your thoughts on Coldplay's latest album? Drop a comment, let me know. Be sure to hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Check out more of my Coldplay content floating on screen right now, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.